Y'all want to hear something embarrassing? When you drive the Weiss van to the gym and you forget that, and you felt like an hour looking for your vehicle. I was looking for my truck, but I drove the Swaggin' Wagon here, the minivan. But yes, I finally found it. A little look at the minivan here, all the car seats. We'll be adding the fourth one here in the next 4 or 5 months. But it's already embarrassing showing up to the gym in a van. Why did I not drive my truck? I don't know. Oh, I had to put gas in the van. That's why. But Scott Lett with Iron City Power Washing. So, we're all human. And humans, especially men, we're afraid to share our struggles, our fears, our failures. It's because we're men. We're prideful. And we're human. And we want to be the hero for our family. We want to be Mr. Do-It-All, get it all done. But you know what? That's not life. Life just isn't that way. Things happen. Mistakes happen. And sometimes you trip and fall. And you can come up with these grand plans and they don't work out. And yes, there's nowhere to put this phone in the van either. I'm gonna talk to Toyota. I mean, look how low I look like I'm 5'1". But anyways, whatever, guys. Just pretend I'm not 5'1". What I want to talk about today is something I've probably never talked about before, but I think it's fair to talk about it, being someone who's ran a business for getting close to a decade. Nothing's really new anymore. It's just maintaining and scaling the best I can. But, I keep this channel real. And, I sit there and think about things that may go through y'all's minds that's worth discussing, worth talking about. And, what I want to talk about today is, what are my fears as a business owner? And the fears are directly tied to your financial situation, right? Which we all come from different financial situations. I feel like a lot of people who enter this industry got on YouTube one day and you came across some pressure washing videos. You saw some guys who made it look easy, while also in the back of your mind, you're not really fulfilled at your job. You're not making the money you want to make. And you hear guys on here sharing all these numbers, making all this wash stuff look easy. And you're like, well, I can do that. Which, yeah, most of us can. A lot of us can't. That's the truth. That's the hard reality of life. Is, guys, there's millionaires out there who's gone bankrupt, who has started businesses that's failed, and they just got themselves up and just kept moving forward. But anyways, I want to share with you guys some of the fears that it's been there since day one, fears now, new fears, old fears. So the biggest fear for me is, let me just paint a picture of our financial situation. My wife doesn't work. And that's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because it's a blessing because my wife gets to stay home with our children, and our kids get to be raised by my wife their mother rather than a daycare with a bunch of random people raising them, right? Which, that's a huge blessing. It's also a blessing because my wife doesn't work, so I have no choice but to make this business work. And that is a huge, huge motivational aspect. Why is it a curse? Because say something were to happen to Iron City Power Washing, we get sued, we get something devastating happens. I get injured. I can't work anymore. I'm on disability. Then what? There goes the Bible I was using to support my phone. Then my wife is either going to go back to work, which would not be good for our kids, or I would just have to get a totally different job altogether and not do what I want to do, not do what I love. So that's why I'm super careful at work. That's why people are like, man, why don't you clean roofs? Why don't you do all these things? There's a reason behind everything. The reason I'm not up there scaling roofs and cleaning out gutters is because it takes one slip and fall, and then you're back into an 8 to 5 job at a desk because your body's no longer able. I'd rather make the money we make with my feet on the ground. So, but yeah, there's the fear of, something happening to the company and my wife has to go back to work, or something happening to me and I'm injured. I got to go back to an 8 to 5. My wife may have to go back to work. So these are always things I think about and I try to prepare for, if they were to happen. Yes, I have disability insurance, but it would be like $1,500 a month. I mean, that's nothing. So there's always that fear. And how do you combat that? There's really no proper way to combat catastrophic events. Different angle. Y'all like that? So I think those are just fears that come across our minds as men. And I feel like if they don't, that's kind of ignorant, right? Well, then there's the fear of, man, what if the calls stop coming? What if the economy just tanks like in 2008 or the Great Depression and no one's spending money? Then what? And it impacts the commercial accounts too. So my plan to have the bulletproof commercial power washing companies getting impacted. Now we're supporting 2 business owners and a tech who gets paid very well. How long would that last? How do we combat that? Well, we have a reserve that is stacking up with money every day. We put money into it. But how long would that last? I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it seems like the government doesn't really care a whole lot about small businesses. So, I don't know. You got to think about that. So, I'm not saying have an escape route, but what is your plan B? What would we do if the wash calls stop coming? Would I revisit the lighting, putting up Christmas lights? Again, I don't want to put up Christmas lights. I'd probably hammer down on gutter cleaning, window cleaning. I'd probably go buy me a nice 0-turn mower, weed eater, and buddy, I'd get into cutting grass, cutting yards, and I would become Iron City Landscaping, probably. That's called adapting. You have to learn how to adapt. So, and guys, these are real life fears. What if we lose our amazing employee? That's always a fear. What if someone comes up to him and offers him a really good amount of money, and then now we got to find someone to replace him, which it would take 2 to 3 guys to replace the one we have because he's that good. So right now I'm learning how to scale a business, and there's a software that I took a survey on, and it described who I am to a T, and my strengths and my weaknesses, and what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. And it was scary how accurate it was. My business partner took the same one, and our lead tech. So when it comes time to hire another person, which we're getting close to doing, I'm going to use the same software and try to get someone as close as I can to our lead tech. And I explained that to him. And we're doing that to get me off the truck so I can grow business. But what happens if we lose our all-star employee? You know? These are all fears of mine. But you know what? For every fear, where was I going with that? I guess for every fear, there is a solution. There is a way to overcome those fears. And I think my biggest way to cope with these fears, I spend a lot of time in prayer. Lord, if this is really what you want me to do, like, pave the path for us, provide for us, like, lead us to where you want us to go. And we trust you. If the doors are supposed to close one day on this business, provide the right investor, the right person to buy our business, you know? Another fear of mine is like, what if I fail at scaling this thing to the point where I have to continue to be in the field for the next 15, 20 years, which is not a desire of mine. I want to be off the truck and have a team and scale and add services and getting to parking lot striping and to do all these things. Like, I have other plans. And why have I not done that yet? Because, guys, my kids are young. I'm trying to go to work, get my wash jobs done, and go home to be with my kids so I can watch them grow up. But once they get older, you know, they start getting more involved in other things and not at home as much. That's when I'm going to make my real money. But what are things going to be like then? You know? So these are all things you have to think about. And I think as business owners, as men who lead our families, as husbands, providers, like, they're fears, but they're also realistic thoughts that, you know, I feel like we all think about. So, but failure isn't really an option. It's a catastrophic event that shuts us down. That's my biggest fear, because you hear of it happening, getting sued or something very bad happening to you, you know, and, you know, it happens. It would take something very drastic with the economy to shut our doors, just because of the accounts we have and just the way we have our business structured to get jobs. And I'll go out there and weed eat and cut grass. I will start a cleaning company of house, like going inside houses and cleaning people's houses, the inside, before I shut down my company. I will do whatever I have to do. I'll scrub a toilet. Whatever. You do whatever you gotta do to provide for your family. So what I'm saying is, you know, and things are really good, but what are you gonna do when they get really bad? That's a fear. That's realistic, you know? And just the thought of going back to a corporate 8-to-5 job, that is probably my biggest fear. Because look, I've looked at, just out of curiosity, I've looked at management jobs, upper level management jobs, and there's no salary even close to the life I'm living right now. And I don't mean that in a boastful way. I'm just saying, like, it'd be really hard to go work 8-to-5, have a boss, and make way less money than what I'm making now. You know, that's a fear. When I'm able, and I guess the freedom is the biggest thing. The freedom to come home when I want to, be with my family, grow a business. You know, I'm a little spoiled. I feel like we get a little spoiled with the freedom and the time we have. But that came with a lot of work, a lot of patience, a lot of headaches, a lot of headaches, and overcome other fears. It's part of it, guys. What are y'all's fears? What are things that you wake up every day and face? What are some, I guess, past fears that you had to overcome? I'd love to hear from you guys. Scott Lett, Iron City Power Washing.